90% of global finance leaders believe blockchain and digital assets will have a significant impact on finance within 3 years, according to Ripple's survey. Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP holders. Appreciate you guys as always. The day is here, of course. Such an important day. We've been anticipating this, for the last 2 weeks, to be quite frank with you. But it's finally here. Obviously, a lot of people want to, kind of get this out of the way already. A lot of obviously analysts projecting nothing to happen, rate cuts to pretty much stay unchanged. But we cannot know for sure until the meeting has concluded. So if you're looking at the broader market, we're actually seeing red across the board. So again, to the Crypto ZX viewers, I'm sure you guys are not too surprised at this. You're pretty much seeing across the board, 5 to 6% pullback for pretty much the broader market, except a few outliers. If you're looking at XRP, down about 1.8% in USD, comparative with the price currently sitting at $3.13. Also down 1% in Bitcoin comparative. Now, if you're looking at the valuation side of things, $185.3 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $5.7 billion. But as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So look at this. Ethereum open interest dominance nears 40%, its highest since April 2023. Not even last year, April 2023. We're talking about 2 years ago, signaling a shift in speculative focus from Bitcoin to Ethereum. So anyone that's surprised at this, come on guys, we've been speaking about this specific shift that we're noticing from the ETF flows. ETF flows are more focused on Ethereum accumulation rather than BTC. And again, we haven't seen that in the last, I would say, 18 months, to be honest. Like, you were seeing record numbers of inflows coming in towards ETH, which tells you a lot of interest coming in, and just kind of goes back to the likes of these big asset managers like BlackRock. When you talk about ETH, you talk about real world assets, and as you guys know, RWAs are being discussed pretty much in this industry day in, day out. So is this really going to be that complete shift that we're seeing? So far, it's looking like, ETH has been building onto the momentum, and I honestly think ETH could start rallying, sooner than a lot of people realize, which of course is going to impact the broader market with it. And it also explains why we are seeing the dominance pulling down. But take a look at this. This right here is a massive, massive news. Paul Atkins announced this. I'm pleased to share that the SEC approved in-kind creations and redemptions for crypto ETPs and ETFs. The approval continues to build a rational regulatory framework for crypto, leading a deeper and more dynamic market, which will benefit all American investors. So if you guys are kind of confused as to what this really means, I'm sure you guys know that the ETFs have gone live, and there's 2 spot ETFs right now. That's for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So pretty much what in-kind creations and redemptions mean is, now if you are exiting your ETF, you can literally convert it back to BTC or ETH, and vice versa, of course, which is huge, because currently, let's say you want to get an ETF. Before this, of course, let's say you wanted to get an ETF, you would obviously need to have fiat, and you turn that into the ETF. Now it's just completely a game changer, which of course is like now ETF to actual Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Bitcoin and Ethereum to ETF, and it just makes it instant. And guess what this does? The price stays closer, to the ETF and the Bitcoin. I'm sorry, the ETF price stays closer to Bitcoin and Ethereum price. And what's even bigger that a lot of people are not realizing is that, bigger players like hedge funds, are now more likely to use crypto ETFs. If they were on the sidelines, now this type of thing can really bring in more attention to it. And remember, this opens the door for other potential ETFs, because once those are approved, which a lot of people are anticipating, XRP, obviously one of the ones that a lot of people are anticipating, as well as Solana. once these come, this is going to be a reality with that as well, because I'm sure this is going to apply to pretty much all the ETFs that they approve in the future. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this specific announcement, but I think this is one of the biggest announcements, and it's, massive shift in the right direction. But yeah, of course, let me know in the comments what your personal thoughts are. And, on that note, you can see CNBC spotlight on XRP. Ethereum CEO says hundreds of millions have poured in, our most successful fund ever. They call it the XRP Army, and I see why. We saw the opportunity and we went all in on XRP derivatives. And he pretty much states that he is also thinking that XRP could be that ETF that goes live next. I think we actually might see a wide range of them getting approved, because in terms of the timeline, it's sometime in early quarter four is where the time deadline is for the SEC. Maybe they approve all of them together. That's just me speculating. But that would be a massive move in the right direction. So again, do you guys agree with that, or do you guys think you're going to see one by one in terms of the approval? Let me know in the comments. But you guys can see big players are paying attention. Obviously, if you're even starting to take a look at the list of these big companies around the globe that are actually accumulating XRP, to create a reserve, it's just getting bigger day by day. And if that is not something that's you're not paying attention to, I hope you guys are, because that really tells you where things are really headed. But take a look at this. The shift is happening. Banks are investing in blockchain. $100+ billion invested into blockchain companies since 2020. So in the last 5 years, 700 billion per month in stablecoin volume, 18 trillion projected in tokenized assets by 2033. Our latest report with CB Insights and UKCBT uncovers how financial institutions are shaping the future through strategic investments, partnerships, and emerging use cases. And with, of course, Genius Act, you're seeing massive amounts of interest pouring into the digital asset space. But strongly encourage you guys to, read this article if you are interested to getting to know more. But shout out to Smoke. XRP outperformed Bitcoin and the broader market. To the critical thinkers, retail emotions are more volatile than crypto prices. Stay with the facts. That's how you stay aligned with reality. XRP has remained a profitable investment across all time frames. Now, for those who held long term, don't take my word for it. The data confirms it. And I totally agree, in terms of retail interest, and I've stated, I cannot agree more with Smoke. I cannot agree more with that, because if you've been a day one supporter on my channel, I've stated that, retail tends to always focus on short term, and they're always, glued to the screen. Oh, why is the price not going up? Why am I not, becoming extremely wealthy overnight? That's not how it works. But when it comes to sophisticated investors that tend to be, bigger players, the ones that have a lot of experience, they're in it for the long haul, and they have a lot of, patience. And retail, unfortunately, does not have long-term patience. I'm not saying not all of them, but I'm talking majority don't. So, what you can pretty much take away from this is do your due diligence, research, and invest what you can afford to lose. If you've done that, then the patience is your number one key to follow. Do not expect overnight gains, and gains are not promised. This is where your due diligence and research, and of course, time factor really comes into play. But yeah, patience is so important. And the people that have been patient, of course, over the last 6-7 years that have been accumulating XRP nonstop, dollar cost averaging in, those are the ones that are really the winners in my opinion right now. Because of course right now everyone is the biggest fan of XRP, but just a few years back, not even a few years back, if you just go back in November of last year, just before Donald Trump became the president of the United States, just before that, if you were talking about XRP, most people were still bearish, and here we are seeing a complete shift taking place. So those are things that you don't really want to be forgetting. But yeah, let's take a look at the price. If you're looking at the dominance index, I did mention this in my HBAR update. If you did end up watching that, you are looking at the dominance index picking up as we are going into Wednesday morning. BTC on the other hand, let's give it a refresh live. Bitcoin is currently sitting at $118,000. We did come down a little bit since my last update, which was on HBAR, which is a few hours back, not a few hours back, like 2 hours back. And you can expect volatility today, of course, as I expected, but I do believe market will bounce today leading into the last day of the month, and I do believe we could potentially see Bitcoin closing the monthly candle above $120,000. We were just above that a few days back, and I really do believe we could get to that range. If you're looking at XRP right now, $3.10, still ranging around this level. We still have yet to break below the $3.08 key support line. If we're obviously able to drop below that, it could open the door for us to retest the $3 price point, as stated before. So far, so good. Like what I'm seeing here. Obviously, if we see a rate cut, I'm expecting crazy fireworks for the market. Again, in my personal opinion. But even if we don't, I think the market will push up, especially BTC, which will cause the dominance to start pulling down, which is something very, very important for us to see. You want to see the dominance starting to pull down after the decision is made by the meeting. But I'll keep you guys covered. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.